Hello, and welcome to Corks and Cauldron, where two friends uncork a bottle, cast a few spells, and dive deep into fantasy books and theories. I'm Gabby.
And I'm Jen. Quick disclaimer, this is an adult podcast about adult books. So expect some spicy language, spicy content, and spicy spoilers.
Let's grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's get started. Today we're covering chapters 30 through 35 of Gild from the Plated Prisoner series. So, Jen, what are we snacking on today?
We made black pepper cheddar bacon biscuits. These are really good. And it's like a little ham and cheese sandwich, but in biscuit form.
Yum.
And it's not ham, it's bacon. P.S. In case you missed that the first time I said it. Anyway, it goes really good with like tomato soup. So if you're wanting like a comfort food kind of meal.
Yeah, and considering the ice storm the Midwest is getting this weekend, yeah.
Tomato soup and these biscuits is bomb. And it's your basic biscuit recipe: buttermilk, cold butter, cheese, flour, baking powder.
It kind of sounds like the cheddar biscuits from Red Lobster, but then you add bacon to it.
I do not put that garlic stuff on top, the garlic butter on top, just because what if you don't want it? But you could, absolutely. It's really easy. I've also substituted ground white pepper for ground black pepper in this because white pepper is a milder pepper than black pepper. But it's really easy to make. I will put the recipe on Instagram, but it's really easy to make. It's not like some of the other stuff that I've put in that are time consuming. This is like 30 minutes start to finish.
Yeah, we need more crockpot recipes from you. More toss and go recipes.
I do like crockpot. We'll do that when we get over to the 4th Army.
Okay.
Because, they do a lot of stews and stuff.
And it's stew season.
But what are we drinking?
Well, I am incredibly hungover today, so I am drinking water. However, the drink that I paired with this is a golden smoked bourbon sour. It is just 2 ounces of bourbon, an ounce of lemon juice, some more of that honey simple syrup, and then you can add either a 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika or a dash of liquid smoke to really give it that smoky flavor. And then if you want to be fancy / proper, you would add an egg white because that gives you that foam on top. Then you add cracked black pepper as a garnish. And then if you wanted to be super fancy, you can add gold sugar around your rim.
That is fancy.
It is super fancy. And then for our dry friends, our sober friends, you can replace the bourbon with an apple cider and then skip the liquid smoke and then just do the smoked paprika and you should be good. You add sparkling water to the top and there you go. And you get a smoked apple spritz that way.
I didn't realize liquid smoke was alcohol.
It's not.
Oh, okay.
But with the apple cider, you don't want liquid smoke because that's going to be too sweet, the smoky.
Okay. I was like, why wouldn't you want to use the liquid smoke?
Well, Jen, that is a myth. And speaking of myths, how was that segue?
That was lovely. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Fae world today because we're going to read a little bit about the Fae world today, which is kind of exciting. The Fae world is called Annwn. So I found out that Annwn is actually the other world in Welsh mythology. It's essentially a world of delights and eternal youth, where food is ever abundant and there is no disease. The inhabitants were superior beings. There's no actual description of the world. It's just that some medieval texts and folklore say that it had many aspects, but it's not really specific. I can't read Old Welsh. I'm sorry.
What? You had one job.
It's just not something that I know how to do. And I did not find any actual translations. I'm sure there are translations, but I didn't find any that were free.
Fair. Yeah.
And I do have a bunch of mythology books back here. I have Celtic, Greek, gods and monsters, and Norse mythology.
And nothing in any of them?
None of them are Welsh. Although my understanding is there is a little bit of Annwn in Celtic mythology and also King Richard.
Well, Celtic and Welsh kind of intertwine a lot,
close.
Don't they?
Yeah.
I like how we both did the same hand gesture.
Yeah. But in the Plated Prisoner series, Annwn is the land of the Fae. And according to Orient history, there was a bridge to nowhere called Lemuria in the Seventh Kingdom. And people would walk across it for hundreds of years. People were walking across it. and never coming back.
Well, and it started out with being like
It was like,
explorers
yes,
and people wanted to know, so they sent the best of the
yeah.
best.
And soldiers went, and this young girl named Sarah Turley tried to cross it to go find her father when he disappeared. And she walked for so long that she ended up falling from the ground into the sky in Anwen.
I know,
We'll
I don't
talk about that in
understand that
chapter
one either.
32.
Yeah.
But she was there for a very long time. She was young when she got there. When she was around 19, she fell in love with a fae. He was the Prince of Lydia. He, as a wedding gift to her, he joined Anwen and Oria with the Bridge Lemuria. That was a lot of rhyming right there. I feel like Seuss. So that she could go back and forth because she missed Oria. I don't understand why, because
Some
Anwen
people miss
sounds
their
so much better.
hometowns.
But whatever, she missed it. And for hundreds of years, Oria and Anwen coexisted and mingled, and the Fae and the Orions commingled,
Is that what we're calling it now?
which is where Orion magic comes from. And then a new king rose to the throne in Anwen, and he decided to be a dick because he didn't like the Fae mixing with lesser races.
Sure.
And he betrayed Oria and destroyed the bridge. And it's been 300 years since that happened.
And people just will not let it go. Just holding grudges.
But as far as they know, there are no Fae in Oria. So Fae magic, Orion magic is starting to kind of dissipate.
But you still need
Because
magic to
it's
get to
been
the
300
throne.
years. Yes.
So how's that going to work in another 300 years?
I mean, nobody said this was a perfect rule.
I mean, the monarchy did.
But are we recapping?
Well, I feel I wanted to go into your mythology a little bit more. So the part where you talked about how the new king was a dick and he didn't like the Fae mixing with lesser races, I just feel like that's a really common or popular storyline that we see a lot in the fantasy books. Well, not even just fantasy books, really.
Oh no, it's got no
dystopian books, maybe.
Yeah, well, and even like thrillers have it.
True. Yeah, there's always that evil
racism
villain.
is racism. It is what it is.
Sure, that's a good point.
Let's just call it what it is. It's racism, and we know it.
Yeah, I think it's just a good thing for us to point out and dissect a little bit that, like you said, racism is racism is racism.
Yep.
No matter what it is. So, all right. I feel like my recaps are a little long this time, so I'm so sorry. I will try to remember to breathe through them.
Good. Breathing is good.
All right. So I got to prep. All right. So my chapter 30 recap. We're with Captain Vane, and Captain Vane has his grip on Orion so tight, both literally and figuratively. He has her ribbons bound to her back, like he's got them in a grip so tight that she can't really move her ribbons. Mm-hmm. And don't forget, it's cold and stormy and gross out where she's at right now, so her ribbons are waterlogged and weak after throwing sail overboard. And they're not really able to help her at this point. In the middle of her fight, like during this time that she's struggling against Captain Vane and trying to get out, she's reflecting on her own complacency. She realizes that she got into this mess kind of by her own fault. Her complacency led her to where she's not able to fight back effectively. She let herself become stagnant in her gilded cage. And she vows that if she survives this ordeal, she will never allow herself to be weak again, which sounds like me every January 1st. Anyway, Vane continues to force her to his cabin when all of a sudden, our girl is saved by the hawk. A messenger hawk swoops in, carrying a vial with a note. The captain's demeanor shifts as he reads the message, frowning at its contents. At this point, we don't know what is in that vial. We don't know what the note says, but we do know that it is urgent. Vane is talking to Quarter and tells Quarter to take care of Orin and to get the saddles gathered, essentially, and says whoever is going to show up is going to be here before we have time to do anything else. So let's just get ready what we can. So, using the distraction as an opportunity to bind Orin further, Vane ties her ribbons tightly around her torso, neutralizing any chance that she has of using them. So he binds her ribbons around her torso, and then he also puts a sash, basically, around those on top. Mm-hmm. So she is double bound. He orders Quarter to gather the saddles and put them to work in the ship's kitchen, preparing them for the arrival of the mysterious guests. Before he leaves, he warns the group that any disobedience will result in a brutal punishment. Stripped, whipped, and tossed overboard. Ugh, gross.
That sounds fantastic.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, it
In the
does.
kitchen, the saddles are met with hostility from the ship's cook, but Risa takes charge like she does. She rallies the group to work together. While the others cook and clean, Orin quietly focuses on loosening her ribbons. She's trying to get her ribbons untied subtly. She doesn't know who's coming, but she is grateful for the reprieve. Anything is better than being dragged into Fane's quarters. True. For now, survival means biding her time and preparing for whatever comes next. Chapter 31. The saddles are in the kitchen, and the cook is, how shall we say, not nice, I guess is what we're going to say. I'm going to say your typical chef because I've never worked in a kitchen and all I see is the media portrayal of chefs yelling at people.
He's the meanest person on the ship, I think is what they say.
I think that is what they say. Okay, so the saddles are thrown into the kitchen where they work with Cook, and Cook is, as we learn, referred to as the meanest person on the ship. He delights in barking orders and hurling pans. None of them have any clue what they're doing. These are saddles. They've never worked in a kitchen before. They don't know how to cook. They don't know where to find things in the kitchen. This is not the domain that they are trained in. Apparently, Saddle 101 skips basic life skills like this. After a chaotic attempt to meal prep, the ship lurches to a stop, throwing everyone into an uneasy silence. As Orin and the saddles are herded to the deck to serve food, the tension is palpable. Something is coming, but no one knows what. Orin is still taking advantage of these distractions to work on freeing her ribbons, and then heavy stomps echo across the planks, and a dozen Fourth Kingdom soldiers march onto the ship. The pirates freeze, as do the saddles, the air thick with anticipation. Finally, a 13th figure, lucky number 13, steps forward, commanding the attention without uttering a word. The rumors around about him swirl. Cursed, evil, a creation of King Ravenger's rot. But Orin knows better. This man isn't cursed. He's Fae. And with his arrival, the stakes just got a whole lot higher. Chapter 32 is story time. This is when we get the history of Aurea and the Fae Kingdom. Jen went over that in her mythology, so we're going to skip over chapter 32. Chapter 33. Commander Rip storms in like the badass legend he is, and the vibe of the pirate ship shifts immediately. Rip wastes no time asserting dominance and grills Captain Fane about his, quote, tip that led him to the caravan. Rip also casually mentions the 12 messenger hawks that Fane sent out, which Rip's men intercepted and tossed onto the deck like last week's mail. Talk about a power move. I love that scene so much. It's one of my favorites. Rip doesn't stop there, though. He offers to buy the entire caravan, including the saddles, guards, and horses, leaving the pirates with the armor. Remember the gold armor. That's really all they care about. Fane balks, though, whining about his crew's expectations to, quote, enjoy their prizes. But Rip shuts that down fast. We love that. Love that about Rip. The pirates might be loud and crude, but Rip is the one calling the shots now. By the end of the standoff, Fane reluctantly agrees to negotiate terms over food and wine, setting the stage for a tense dinner party that we're all dying to crash. Meanwhile, Orin is watching this whole exchange, taking in Rip's fake presence and trying to make sense of what he wants. One thing is clear, though. Things are about to get interesting. Chapter 34. Orin isn't allowed into the dining room. Because why wouldn't she be? She's not allowed in the dining room while Commander Rip and his soldiers are on board. Captain Fane doesn't want Rip to know that she exists. She is sent back to the kitchen where the cook puts her to work, cleaning and scrubbing. This isn't the worst thing for her, though. She's out of sight. No one's really watching her. I mean, she's got a guard dog, but they're not, like, actively watching her, right? She gets to keep working on untying her ribbons. And she finally manages to loosen one. Talk about progress. We love that. Polly walks back to the kitchen to get more ale, essentially. In the pantry, Polly confronts Orin, asking if she can use her ribbons to hurt the pirates and help them escape. Orin has to squash Polly's brief glimmer of hope, explaining that she can't, not yet. Polly asks for help carrying the ale into the dining room, and Orin does help for as long as she can. She tags along, observing all the saddles putting on their well-trained performance for Commander Rip and his soldiers. Mist, of course, takes the opportunity to throw some shade at Orin, shoving dishes at her and snapping more insults. I am over Mist, and we've only known her for like 4 chapters. Later, Orin realizes that the saddle will most likely be sold off soon, but she won't. She will be left behind. And the thought fills her with dread, trapped and alone but still a captive. Despite everything, she finds herself wishing for Midas to come and rescue her, falling back into the old patterns of hoping for him to save the world, save the day, even as she works to loosen the physical and metaphorical knots binding her. Chapter 35. Orin is watching the saddles be prepped for transfer, and she is convinced she is about to be left behind, alone, vulnerable, and without even the shallow comfort of familiarity. As Commander Rip and Captain Faye negotiate, Orin's dread grows, especially when Rip insists that all of Midas's people are part of the deal, including her, which is a good thing. She won't be left alone then. Fane, however, is not about that. He's not going to let Orin just go with part of that bulk price. Fane tries to deny it, but Rip clearly knows more than what he's letting on, hinting at a, quote, mysterious tip that revealed Orin's presence. Eventually, Fane agrees to sell everyone, including Orin. Rip goes to check the quality and status of Midas's men and horses, leaving the saddles with Fane and Quarter, I want to say, is also there. Fane orders Quarter to take the saddles into the kitchen, not for the comfort or convenience of the saddles, strictly so the saddles don't try to run away. If you keep them in a small room, they can't run as easily. That is the only reason he's putting them back inside the ship. While all the saddles are filing out, Risa and Orin are next to each other. Then, Fane grabs both of them by the arm, pulling them out of the line, and leads them to his quarters, along with a chest of treasure. Orin is overwhelmed with fear and rage, questioning why her life has been a constant cycle of being used and discarded by greedy men. As she is forced into the captain's cabin, she looks to the sky, searching for rescue or hope, but only finds darkness. And I am so tired of chapters ending like this.
You don't like the foreshadowing?
There's so much foreshadowing. I love that. But I need to sleep sometime. I can't just read all night. I have a job that requires me to wake up in the morning.
So, chapter 30 is a masterclass in tension, humiliation, and the simmering promise of defiance. Orin's vulnerability and complacency is kind of laid out straight out in this. Not just her physical, but her emotional stuff. She's contemplating how weak she's become and how complacent she's allowed herself to become, because it was just easier to not do anything. And we see here where she's like, fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore.
Never again.
Never again. I'm not going to allow myself to become this weak ever again, because she is exhausted after throwing sail over the side of the
ship. In her defense, it was cold, it was raining.
He was like 100 pounds heavier than she was, and like 6 inches taller or something.
And dead weight.
And dead, so he was, he
was not helping in the matter.
But it really was a struggle for her, and she never wants to feel
helpless,
that weak again. So this is kind of the beginning for her of realizing that stagnating and just being complacent and going with the flow is no longer something that she wants to do, which is nice. I think this is
really easy to say in the moment, right? It's really easy to be in the moment and be like, fuck this, I'm never doing this again.
Yes. And while she's sitting there thinking about this, she's also hoping that Digby is still alive.
Yeah, she doesn't know where Digby's at. She has no idea what's going on with him.
Yeah. But she's hoping that he's still alive. She's still mourning Sail, but she's hoping maybe Digby will find him and maybe bury him.
To give him some rest.
And she doesn't want to ask about him. She's like, I don't want to ask about him because I'm worried if I do, then they'll know. And if I ask and find out that he's dead, that's it. He's just dead. I'd rather him be.
That false hope.
So, and she's still, she's just struggling with this.
Well, I mean,
altogether.
She's shooketh. I mean, her whole world has been completely changed in the past 8 hours, I'm going to say.
Right. Well, since the beginning of this trip. So,
yeah.
And I don't like Captain Fane, guys.
Captain Fane is...
He's
another
terrible
example of a man in this world.
He is another example of a toxic man.
Yes.
In any world.
Yes.
Because we'll see later on that he's just awful. I mean, we can already tell he's awful, but we're going to see it more later. The next episode, if you are uncomfortable with
essay,
then maybe don't listen.
Honestly, this whole book, if you're uncomfortable with it, you should probably skip it.
But it's worse toward the end. So, because he's continuing to just he basically took all of them. And you know how when you're pulling your hair in a ponytail, that's what I'm picturing is he has all of them in a ponytail. basically in his hand.
But he's
And
got it too tight.
Yeah, and it's so tight, and he's just grabbing onto it and pushing her forward.
Yeah.
So he's not dragging her, thankfully, because I'm sure that would actually hurt worse to be dragged.
Yeah.
But he's just, really vicious with her and he gets her up to his door.
She's so close
and
to a terrible thing. Yeah.
He's got the key out, and all of a sudden, Quarter, thank you, Quarter, goes, Captain, we've got a hawk.
She's saved by the hawk.
And he's holding on to her, and he wants to read the message. And this is when he ties her up. He's like, Quarter, give me your sash.
Mm-hmm.
So Quarter has to dig into his leather gear and pull out the thing that's probably holding up his pants, truthfully. And he gives that to him. So Fane is tying knots in her ribbons, like wrapping them around her and then tying them in knots. And then he's wrapping this sash around her and tying it in knots.
Super tight.
Super tight, so she can't move the ribbons. That's the goal. And then once he has that done, he can still hold her arm or have Quarter hold her, and then he can read this message, who we now know is from
Rip.
Well, Commander, I'm assuming it was from Commander Rip.
That's her, Commander Rip.
Yeah.
So in this scene, I like how Raven did a good job describing how much pain she was in.
Yeah.
There's a quote, her skin flinching along her spine as if the ribbons could sense the threat. Like that just really, A, it tells you how tight the ribbons are, and B, it tells you how sentient, I'm going to say, the ribbons are, or in tune with Orin's emotions, maybe, is a better way to say it. So those ribbons, I still can't really picture them, but
I think they're beautiful.
So does Rip.
And then Fane decides, well, Quarter says, do we need to write him back? Do we need to send a message? And he's like, there's no point. He's going to be here in an hour.
Yeah. The hawk wouldn't get back in time.
We do not know yet that this is from Commander Rip.
True.
All we know is that whoever sent the message is going to be there in an hour.
Which is not a lot of time to like clean up a ship, prepare a big feast, hide Orin.
No. So they decide to send all of the saddles to the kitchen to help prepare the food. And that's interesting, but Quarter takes all the saddles in there and basically lets them know that if they decide that they're not going to help, they're going to get thrown overboard.
Stripped, whipped, and tossed overboard.
Yes. So he takes all of them into the kitchen, and the cook is like, what the fuck are you waiting for? Let's get started.
Well, first off, the cook is like, what the fuck are all these women doing in my kitchen?
Yeah.
Which is just another sign of toxic masculinity that's going on with the pirates. And then the cook is, I think chefs also have a reputation of being short-tempered to begin with.
Yeah.
And then you add a pirate personality on top of that.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a friendly chef. It's not going to happen. So anyway, they're in the kitchen.
Yeah, they're in the kitchen. And Risa is the first one to like jump in and get started. And because she does, everyone follows.
Risa is a natural born leader.
She really is, which is great because then everybody follows her, and Orin gets to stand there while she's trying to cut vegetables or make biscuits or whatever she's doing. And she tries to untie her ribbons, and she's trying to be subtle about it, which honestly, I don't think anybody cares at this point. I don't think anybody cares what she's doing as long as she's cutting vegetables and not dripping so badly on the floor that she falls.
She's also too busy dodging things being thrown at her.
Yeah.
Pans or pots and dish rags and whatever.
Yeah. And that's pretty much, chapter 30. Orin's internal journey. Fane's
is being Fane
because he doesn't get to play with his new toy, and cooking because we like cooking. Okay, I like cooking.
You like cooking.
Chapter 31 is where everything starts to escalate. We have the saddles in the kitchen trying to cook. And
it's like glaringly obvious that they don't know what they're doing.
Oh, at all.
Like this was not taught in their etiquette classes. They've never had to cook their own meals. They were royal saddles. They never had to do anything on their own.
And you see Cook just treating them like crap, throwing things at them because they don't know what they're doing.
Snapping at them if they're not moving fast enough.
Snapping at them. just being a just dickwad in general.
Well, and like, let's be real. You and I have been friends for 10 years, but even now, if I were to go help you cook in your kitchen, I wouldn't know where anything is, and you wouldn't know where anything in my kitchen is.
No.
Like, so you would just be in my way.
So the last episode, we were talking about the white wood and how you wondered if it was painted, and I didn't think it was. And this is why I don't think it is because when they first walk into this kitchen, they're like, it's white wood like everything else, but it's spattered with food that hasn't been cleaned off. And
Gross.
it's black with the smoke from the kitchen fires.
Gross.
Which is why I don't think that they paint it, because if they painted it, it would just be peeling. And it's not peeling. It's gross.
I agree. It is gross.
While the cook is doing all this crazy stuff with them,
Yelling at them, throwing things at them.
Yeah, Oren is still trying to, one, loosen her knots, and two, she's still not quite fitting in with the saddles. They're still ignoring her and treating her poorly. And she's really, I think a lot of what we're going to see in Oren for the next couple of books, not even just this chapter, is her gaining some independence, learning to work by herself. Just untying the ribbons is like the start of that.
Untying the ribbons is incredibly symbolic of her loosening the knots around her.
Yeah.
That Midas is tied.
And then they're done cooking and the Fourth Kingdom soldiers show up. And it's impressive. You got to admit that you hear these men walking up and they are in sync.
Yeah. Which
Not
is
the band.
Which is a great band, but they are in step.
Yes.
Yes. They are a well-trained unit that are in step.
Yes. And it just changes the whole feeling on the ship.
Well, you have these highly trained soldiers staring down these pirates. And I'm not saying that pirates can't fight. I'm going to say that pirates fight dirty.
Yeah. That's fair.
It's like Americans fighting the British Army. Completely different fighting styles.
The 12 soldiers get up to the top and then they move. And you hear...
I kind of pictured them like 6 and 6, like lined up 6 and 6. And then 13 would be in the middle. Okay.
But then the way they describe it is it's a point. And then he shows up and is standing behind them. It's like they're protecting him.
Well, he's Fae, so he towers over them, I'm assuming.
So
the 13th man shows up.
Yes, the 13th man shows up. And he's up to the top of the steps and he just kind of like surveys everything. And he locks eyes with Oren. Or
right away.
She thinks he does.
Right away.
But he does, because we find this out later that he definitely does. And she's like,
I don't know how I missed this in my first read.
Fuck, he's Fae.
And she seems to be the only one who even thinks that, right?
Yeah. Everybody else thinks that he is some kind of, like her, this is
monster.
A gift from his king. I'm using the term gift loosely on this one because Commander Rip is a lot more intimidating than Oren.
Yeah.
You know, he's like 6'1,000.
6'1,000. 1,000 years old.
He's dark and he has spikes coming off of him.
I forgot about the spikes. Yeah.
And everybody's talking about how the reason that he has his name is because he likes to rip the heads off of the soldiers he kills.
Well, and they think that he was made, right? Like he was created.
They think he was created by King Ravager.
Yeah. From his rot.
So, but this brings up a lot of questions that Oren is not ready to, I don't think she's quite ready for. She does recognize the Fourth Kingdom's seal on their armor, which is how she knows that they're from the Fourth Kingdom. Plus, apparently Commander Rip is a little...
He's well known. He's got a reputation.
He definitely does. But she's wondering, why are they here? This is way out of their boundaries.
Yeah, they're not even close to the Fourth Kingdom's borders.
What does this mean for the saddles? What does it mean for Oren?
What does it mean for the pirates?
So this chapter is just, it leaves us kind of wondering what's going on. And then all of a sudden we get to chapter 32.
It's a completely different world.
And it's a 180. And we're back in world building. And let's tell a story about how Lutherian used to connect Anwin and Aurea.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I don't know how else Raven could have inserted that world building.
I don't think that there was a better way to do what she did was great. I love the chapter, but you're reading that and it ends and you're like, what? I don't understand what's going on. So it just takes a different turn, which is great because now we learn more about the Seventh Kingdom and Anwin and why the rulers have magic.
Well, and
because
Fae.
all of that's kind of explained in here, and it talks about Fae, which we needed for those of us who aren't normally a fantasy reader.
Well, Fae had never been mentioned before. Like, yes, there was magic, and yes, there was that whole part of it, but the word Fae and the fact that Fae existed had never been mentioned prior to this.
Right.
But we didn't know that there was a whole nother race.
And we needed that information because, one, it explains Fae the Rip.
Well, the chapter 31 ends with, he's a Fae.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, okay. So we're just introducing a whole new class of people?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's great because we're talking about how the Seventh Kingdom and why it's no longer in existence.
Fell off the edge of the world.
Basically, because it is the southernmost end of this world.
They talk about it falling off the edge of the world. Yeah.
I kind of think of this as like the flat earth people believe that if you walk off the edge of the world, you will fall. And that is how the Seventh Kingdom is described.
You know the whole we listen and don't judge trend? I cannot follow it because I listen and I judge. And flat earthers, I am judging so harshly.
You're allowed to. It's fine. For hundreds of years, the Seventh Kingdom was sending people across the bridge because it literally was just shrouded in mist and people would walk on it and never return.
And it originally started with like soldiers and explorers and like the high quality people.
Yeah.
And then because no one returned ever, they started sending thieves and criminals. And what could be a worse punishment?
And this poor young girl, Sarah Torley, her father goes on this bridge and she decides to try and go find her father. And she walks and she walks and she walks.
So to be clear, every other person who has gone over this bridge before has been big, strong, burly menfolk, right?
We'll go with that, yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get this young 17-ish year old.
If even that, I don't know if it even tells us how old she is, just that she's young.
Yeah. So this young girl traipses across the bridge and then comes back. No one else has come back ever. Granted, she didn't come back with her dad, but she still came back.
And she didn't come back immediately either. So
she did not. No.
Most people probably assumed she was dead.
Yeah.
So,
but she made it across the bridge to Anwin.
And it describes it as she fell through the ground and into their sky.
And I struggle with that. I'm struggling to picture that. Does that mean she like jumped through a hole in, we'll say, Earth, and then that ended up in their sky in the other world?
I kind of pictured it like Alice in Wonderland, where she falls down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And ends up in the sky.
That's how it has to be.
That's kind of how I'm picturing it. Either way, Sarah falls through, ends up in this other world. The Fae take her in and call her a broken-winged bird. Spoilers, it's because she sprouts ribbons. It is. But Sarah stays there, eventually falls in love, but her heart still remains in Aurea.
She eventually like integrates completely into their society.
Yes.
I mean, obviously she found the love of her life there, but yeah.
And as a wedding gift to her, this prince uses his magic to connect the two worlds through the bridge so that she can go home to Aurea whenever she wants to see her mother and all the places that she used to love, things like that. Of course, because humans are humans and Fae are Fae. A few hundred years after Sarah and her prince, a new king rises in Anwin, and he decides that Fae should not be commingling with lesser races, and he destroys the bridge.
Yeah. So while Sarah and her lover were rulers, human and Fae,
Yes.
interacted and lived peacefully together. And everyone like commingled, and that's how we got the magic
The
that
Orion
you
magic,
see
yeah.
in Oria. Yeah. And that's how the current monarchy is decided, because they have the magic that you need to rule. But yeah, and then that new king showed up and ruined it all.
So really it was like half fae that took over as rulers.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is it was rulers from both kingdoms or some type of nobility from the fae. Although every fae has some type of magic. So it could have been
just a common fae,
just a common fae. We don't know.
which would still be more magical than a common human.
Right. So the two are combined together.
They coupled.
They coupled and they made Mary and John and Eric.
Yep.
Those people become the rulers in Oria. And the further along this goes, because what we're looking at now in Plated Prisoner is this is 300 years after that bridge has been torn down.
Mm-hmm.
So each generation, there's less and less magic.
It gets watered down more and more and more.
Which is why Ravager and Midas are just like amazing.
Hot dogs. Yeah.
Because they have so much magic. Probably because Orin and Ravager are both fae, but still.
I want to point out that it did not occur to me that Orin was fae until, like, I don't know, book 4 or whenever it was spelled out for me. I am truly just a passenger princess in these books.
You read for the vibes, so there's nothing wrong with that.
I saw a TikTok comment that said, "Don't worry, Dorian and I both realized at the same time we didn't know his dad's name, and I have never felt more safe."
I love that. But that's chapter 32 in a nutshell.
Yeah, it was a world building chapter, just a history lesson of a chapter. And again, it felt abrupt, but I don't know a better way that she could have done it either.
Yeah. And this is just like a reminder that this is a big part of the series. Mm-hmm. This chapter gives us the information that we needed to understand why Oria is the way it is, because we needed to know about the Fae and the betrayal.
And also don't forget about Seventh Kingdom, because it's only mentioned casually in passing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. So we needed that.
Again, it just felt so abrupt. Like we end with, he's a Fae, and then we go into a history lesson, and I was just like, what?
Did you get whiplash?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so chapter 33. Rip is sauntering onto the ship. Like, all of his other soldiers are there in that B formation, and he is sauntering onto the ship. He's calm, he's cool, he's collected. We're in Orin's point of view, so she's kind of giving us a history lesson of Rip himself, right? So we learn how he got the nickname Commander Rip, and that is from literally ripping the heads off of enemy soldiers is the most common one. He clocks Orin right away. You mentioned that in the last chapter, but he looks and sees her right away. And Orin clocks his magic immediately. Like, she knows immediately that he is Fae.
And then he talks to Captain Fane about how he intercepted one of his hawks. And he was like, actually, I intercepted all of them, all 12 of your messages. And his dudes, I just picture them holding them out like this and dropping it.
It's so amazing. It's such a mic drop moment, and I love it. It's one of my favorite moments in the whole book.
And he's asking Fane about how he learned about the caravan. And Fane just basically tells him that it was a tip that he got.
Well, and Fane is like, how did you get here so fast? And Commander Rip is like, well, we also got a tip.
Yeah. And then Rip offers to buy the entire caravan.
The exact words were for all of Midas's people and horses.
Yes.
So keep that in mind. We're buying the whole caravan. We're buying all of his people. The surviving soldiers, all of the saddles, all of them, and the horses.
Yes.
He doesn't give a hoot about the gold. You can keep the armor, whatever.
And Fane's kind of upset because he really wanted time to play with his new toys.
Well, and he promises men time to play.
Uh-huh.
And yeah.
And Rip is just like shutting that shit down.
Can we go back and talk about the tip for a minute?
We can. Do you want to know who tipped off the pirates?
It was 100% Melina.
Yeah,
whatever.
It was definitely Melina. Like,
and yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I brought this up in the last episode. But Rip then intercepted Melina's message to the pirates. So that's why he kind of knew where to be. And I think Rip was just too late to stop the initial ambush. I think he
Yes.
was going to try to be there in time to stop it and couldn't. And so his next best option was just to buy him out.
Yes. I agree with that.
I still like my idea that Melina sent to both, but it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense.
No.
So the intercepting makes more sense, and that makes me mad.
Yeah.
Raven, take notes.
Speaking of Rip,
Sorry.
no, that's okay. We know that he's not buying this caravan out for the goodness of his heart. Like, this isn't just to save the saddles, because he's not that kind of guy.
You don't think so?
At this point in the series, we don't think he's that kind of guy. He's got an ulterior motive.
I think even buying out the saddles out of the goodness of his heart, he still had an ulterior motive. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yes, getting them from the pirates is going to be, and getting them returned to Midas is going to be better
Yes.
for the saddles. But also, I can screw over Midas at the same time. So it's a
Exactly.
win-win-win. Everyone
'Cause
wins here.
Look what I'm returning to you, because you couldn't handle your own shit.
Exactly.
So,
I'm sorry. I'm going back to the tip again. Do you think it was to actually get Oren kidnapped? Was it just Oren?
I think it was. I think
And the
he
rest
was.
of the saddles were just SOL?
They were just collateral damage. Yep. I think she was that angry that she thought that Oren had been gone for 3 weeks. And then she found out she wasn't. She was like, well, you know what? If
Sending
you
out a
don't have
hawk.
your toy, I'm getting rid of her.
So the fact that Oren dragged down the traveling party, slowed him down because she insisted on riding or whatever,
Yes.
and then that storm, it just gave the pirates that much more time to get into place.
Yes.
I agree. I don't like it, but I agree. So anyway, Rip's offering to buy out the caravan outright,
Yes.
a bulk price, if you will.
Yes. He's Costcoing it.
Well, because Spain was originally going to parcel it out, right? He was just
Yes.
whoever buys whatever saddle. And that's what the message said is, I got Midas's royal saddles. Who wants a piece? I got 12 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So send it out in 12 different directions, even though there's only 7 kingdoms. Whatever.
Yeah, but there's all sorts of people that would just definitely
True.
want this.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is a big thing, because not only are we seeing an introduction of Rip, who, by the way, is one of my favorite characters.
He's my favorite book boyfriend.
I don't know, Ostrich. Anyway, Rip, and letting us see who he is. It's also letting us see a little bit more about some of the other kingdoms.
Mm-hmm. And how they work.
Yes. So that's where we're going with this. And then into chapter 34, this is where Captain Fane takes Rip in to eat.
Mm-hmm. Oren's trying to untie her knots. She's not
Oren's still
allowed in
trying
the
to untie
dining
her
room.
knots. They're taking the food in. All of the saddles are taking the food in as everybody sits down to eat in this dining room.
Well, food and ale.
So, yeah, and drink. And she's almost to the door when Quarter stops her and goes, no, ma'am.
Who do you think you are?
Captain Fane said, as long as Fourth Kingdom soldiers are here, you are not welcome in this dining room. Go back to the kitchen.
So 100% Fane is trying to hide Oren. He
Yeah.
doesn't want Rip to know that she's there.
No.
I'm not convinced that he mentioned Oren at all in the original message.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to keep that.
Well, he wanted to break it in anyway.
Yeah. So she has to hand her food off to someone else who, of course, it's Rissa, because poor Rissa. So she hands off her stuff to Rissa, and then a guard takes her back to the kitchen, where a rag is thrown at her by Cook, and Cook says, clean this shit up. So she spends the entire meal cleaning stuff up.
Doing the dishes, cleaning.
And trying to untie her knots.
Exactly. Yep. Hey.
And Polly ends up coming in there saying, I need more ale. And Cook is Cook and is like, the fuck do you expect me to do about that?
Go get it then.
Get it and take it over. And she's just standing there like, I don't know what to do.
If I were Polly, I would have just been so frustrated and would have been like, well, where the fuck is it then?
Exactly.
I would love to do my job, but I need some help.
And you see Oren help Polly out. She's like, I know what they are. So she takes Polly in to get the ale, and Polly's like, girl,
those ribbons.
Can you get us free? Help us. Save us.
I'm sure that Polly saw Oren used her ribbons to cut that one pirate a few chapters ago. So I'm sure she knows that she can use them.
Yeah.
I wonder if this was just Polly's way of being like, what the fuck are you doing? Why aren't you trying to help us more?
Right. Probably. And it's just for Polly, it had to be just terrible for her to go, I can't, they're too weak. And they're still tied in knots.
For Oren to tell Polly that.
Well, it had to break Polly's heart
to hear that.
Yeah. Take her hope away.
Yeah.
To hear that from Oren. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. I can't imagine having that sliver of hope and talking to a quote unquote enemy or competition and then being like, okay, well, I'll guess I'll fuck off then. Yeah.
So, and then Polly's like, I need help carrying this ale because she's got 4 pitchers. Because, you're pouring with it.
4 pitchers, which is 2 in each hand.
Right. But, she's not used to that. So we'll say she's carrying 2.
Well,
and she needs help carrying the rest.
Even if she was carrying 4, you have 13 soldiers plus all the pirates.
Yeah, that's
4
true.
pitchers is not going to last long.
No. So she needs help carrying them over. So Oren helps her carry them over because our poor little dear
can't say no.
She just can't say no. So she gets all the way to the door and of course she's stopped again. No, you're still not going in. So she hands off her pitchers to someone else.
I don't think it's mentioned.
Mist is pissy because Mist is Mist. And she's like, since you're too good to come serve food with the rest of us, take these dirty dishes back. So Mist doesn't even see the fact that they're hiding her and not letting her in. What she sees is that she's lounging around.
Too good to help out.
And she's too good to help.
Mist is so wrapped up in her own head. Yeah, she just... And I think that's part of the poison that Midas did, right?
Yeah.
Like he sowed that competition into them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I also think that Oren did not push back enough in her Midas days.
Oh, not at all.
Which, I mean, we've beat that horse to death. We know how we feel about it. It's hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Mist is a complete bitch to Oren.
Yeah.
Always.
And she gives Oren the dishes and Oren spends the next hour washing dishes
by hand.
No, thank you.
And cold water, pass.
Yeah. So poor Oren is kind of at the end of this chapter is like, no one's going to save us.
She misses Midas.
I miss Midas. Why can't he just come and save me?
Mm-hmm.
And she's just imagining him swooping in and being the big savior and his white horse and his cape flowing and his sword out. Oh,
he did initially to save her back in the day. And then he kept doing it. He kept feeding into that victim complex that she had.
So this chapter kind of ends with her sitting there just wrestling with herself.
This chapter also really highlights how isolated she is and was from the Saddles. Like, not only was she isolated in the castle, but now even on a pirate ship, she's still isolated and kept apart, and she's different somehow.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's gold and she has ribbons. That is what makes her different. But our girl just wants to be a girl's girl. She just wants to have friends, and no one's letting her. And I feel so bad for her.
I do. I feel really bad that she's just so isolated.
Yeah. And that was Midas's doing, and now it's Fane's doing. But Oren's also not taking ownership of it either.
No, she's not exactly fighting back.
No. Not yet. She has to hit her breaking point. You have to hit rock bottom. And she's, despite everything, she's not there yet. She is close. She's on the edge, but she's not at rock bottom yet. Rock bottom has a basement for her.
Yeah. So then we get to chapter 35, which is our last chapter this week.
I hate how this one ends.
And Rip has some of his soldiers bring up a chest full of gold. And he's like, here's the agreed upon price for everything
we discussed.
And Fane is like, yep, that looks good. And he starts getting the saddles together. And Rip is like, oh, no. I'm sorry, sir. That one too.
The agreement was for all of the people in Midas's caravan.
And he was like, but I didn't agree to have her included.
No. The words were all of them.
And Rip is like, no, you did. And I would never pay this much for just these.
Yeah. Who do you think you're talking to?
I mean,
Rip is such a Genius.
Yeah, but talk about a kick to the gut if you're Rissa and Polly
Fair.
and Mist.
It's another,
It just reinforces that they're not worth nearly as much as Oren.
in their defense, I don't think Rip said anything specifically about the saddles. He said a
No, he
couple
didn't.
of scraggly horses and broken men or something to that
Yeah,
effect.
but still,
Yeah, it's another point that
yeah,
Oren is worth more, quote unquote, worth more
yeah.
than the others. Which again, she's gold. It's hard to beat that.
And Fane thought he was so smart
Sneaky.
and sneaky, trying to hide her, when Rip was like, "No, dude, she's literally gold. Come on."
Like, how are you gonna hide her?
Yeah.
uh, but this whole time, Oren's afraid that she's gonna get left behind. She's
Yeah.
convinced that while Rip did see her,
Yeah,
she's convinced that nothing's gonna happen. She's gonna get all the saddles are gonna be taken away, and she's left behind
exactly.
with no one to save her.
Exactly.
Because again, our girl has a victim complex.
Yeah. And so she's super excited when she finds out she's going to be included in that. But then Captain Fane decides to send Rip and his men to go check out the rest of the stuff that they bought.
Well,
The
first,
horses and the soldiers.
Fane pushes back and says, "How did you even know she was here?
Yeah.
She wasn't in any of my messages." And that's when Rip is like, "We also got a tip that she was here.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
you're
true.
not the only one who got that tip."
That's true.
So at this point, it's been hinted at that Rip is getting messages that maybe aren't for him. It's being hinted. It's not spelled out. For those of us who are here for the vibe, we're just like, oh, maybe he also got sent a message. No. He intercepted messages because he's a military genius.
And birds like him.
Birds like him, which is what a timberwing is. So
Yeah.
birds like him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, then Captain is like, fine.
Fine.
Why don't you go check out the men and the horses, make sure they're up to snuff?
Yep. And Rip is like, we are leaving within the hour. When this hour is up, we are gone. And Fane's like, fine.
Deal.
And while Rip and his men leave and he watches them leave, he sends the other saddles to the dining room.
Yep, the dining room back inside on the ship.
Inside.
Not for the saddle's own comfort. He doesn't give a hoot about their comfort.
He just wants them all in a group together so that they can be easily watched.
And then they won't run. They're not going to try to jump overboard to avoid Commander Rip's soldiers.
Yes.
And also at this point, Oren's not sure who the worst is. Is going with Commander Rip going to be worse than staying with Fane? Is staying with Fane going to be worse than going with Commander Rip? She's
it absolutely is.
Which she doesn't know. She's just like, which is the worst evil here?
It's such a roller coaster.
I feel so bad for her, especially knowing what I know.
Yeah.
Our sweet summer child doesn't know what's going to happen to her.
No.
So you have to imagine, though, that the other saddles are feeling the same. They don't know what is worse. Like,
right.
The Fourth Kingdom soldiers have a terrible reputation that has been carefully curated. Like, that is, all those rumors have been carefully chosen and spread.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I love their rumors. They're so fantastic.
It's like a bunch of high school girls got around and started a rumor, and they all just went with it, and I love it.
And while they're taking the saddles to the dining room, Captain Fane grabs Rissa and Oren.
Yep. Yanks them out of the line.
Yes. And he's got a couple of his pirates taking the gold to his room, and he's following them, one girl in each arm. He's just dragging them along with him because he's decided that he has earned a taste.
He made sure to get there in time. He made some comment about that.
Yeah.
Like, I rushed to get here in time or something like that. And it was like, okay, so you were given a timeline then.
And he is just pissed off that he's not going to get to enjoy the spoils of his labors.
It's so gross.
Fane is gross.
Fane is gross.
He really is. And he gets to his room, and Oren is like, why am I so cursed?
Why is this always happening to me?
And that is kind of where this chapter ended, was the door opening.
Them being ushered in. Oren's looking to the sky.
Yeah. And Oren's looking outside, just hoping
For
She
help.
has a big thing for stars, which we'll see over and over again.
Mm-hmm. It's the same
And
stars in her home world.
yeah. And so, and honestly, since we've read further into the books, if you have not, this is going to be a spoiler, even though we've spoiled this over and over again. Orin's powers are controlled by the sun.
Yes. And so when she's looking for this at the sky, she's hoping for dawn to break.
Yes.
Yeah.
And really, it's not. So she gets to go and be in the company of Captain Fane and Orissa.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the nicest way I can say that without, putting too much into the next chapter, because we're not going to talk about that yet.
Next chapter is going to be rough. I'm not looking forward to it. But then that is it for Gild. And then we'll do a recap episode, talk about our favorite parts maybe of the book and some foreshadowing we saw throughout the whole book.
Yeah. But this is, do we have any kind of foreshadowing? I mean, other than we know
that Rip
looking
is
to the sky. We know Rip is Fae. Did you have any, when you were reading this, even originally, I know you're about the vibes. Okay. I'm sorry.
It's been established.
Did anything hit with you originally or even in the reread?
Let's see. I haven't read the book in like a week. So I have to think. I don't think so. I remember being at the end of this chapter, I remember being gripped with horror. I was horrified that this was happening to her and I had no idea how she was going to get out of it. I think at this point I had realized that her power was tied to the sun. So I was like, okay, so she's looking for the sun. But I don't know how she's going to get out of this if it's dark out, or how her and Risa are going to get out of this.
That's true. I didn't really know how that was going to happen. I mean, I thought she had the gold anyway.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how they were going to survive this, because you can tell that he was just a vicious man. And I didn't think that he was
no redeeming qualities for him.
No, and I didn't think he was going to be kind to them for sure.
Agreed. Yeah.
So,
well, folks, thank you so much for listening to Corks and Cauldron. Be sure to follow us on all the social medias at Corks and Cauldron. Everything is all spelled out. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, Lemon 8 now.
And Discord.
And
if you enjoyed the episode, please rate and review us. Share us with your book besties and all of the world. It's the best way to spread the word and help our podcast grow, because Corks and Cauldron is a self-funded labor of love, and your support helps keep the magic alive.
And our glass is full.
And join us on our Patreon community today at patreon.com/corksandcauldron, and maybe even treat us to a bottle of wine.
Our next episode is going to drop next Thursday, and that's when we'll deep dive into the last chapters of this book.
And until then, eat,
drink,
and get lost in a good book.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.